two fucking times. I don't know what's going on and shit. I just woke up today. Uh, I don't know why my phone's having issues. I kept trying to send the goddamn link and it wouldn't go through. Uh, Hopefully someone will join soon. I'll just, I guess talk to myself since no one's here right now. Hopefully she'll be in here soon. This is fucking bullshit though. Hey, there you are. God damn. I kept sending you the fucking link and it wasn't working for some reason. And I had to just delete two live streams because the two live streams that I was doing, that I was sending to you, kept rebooting me for some fucking weird reason, and I don't know why it kept rebooting me. Like, I tried to get you on here and then it keeps cutting off my live stream, so I guess you just have to join on your own. Yeah, I was having problems. Well, I'm not having problems now. I'm live now. I was just like trying to figure out what the hell was going on and shit. But anyway, if you read the title, or read the other two titles, this is, like a, about Hulk Hogan and about Ozzy Osbourne. I'm kind of late on the, their passing and everything, but, I've been kind of busy, I haven't been feeling the mood to make this, but I was going to come around eventually and make this, but, I'm just, we're just going to try to talk about all the great, things about both legends, about their fame, their fortune, and all the, success that they had in their lives, So I know this is it's kind of a weird timing to do it now because, that was like a week ago back, it was like a few days ago Hogan passed away, but it was like a week ago Ozzy Osbourne passed away. But, I'm going to try to make this live stream as good as I can, humanly possible, so we can, talk about, we're not just going to talk about them per se. We're going to talk about other things too, like what you and me were talking about earlier before I went live. But, I just kind of want to, dive into all this, all these other different topics. But we will talk about Osbourne. We will talk about Hogan. We will talk about, the memories and how much both of them meant to us, and especially to me. I know you were not really grown up around wrestling, but you've seen wrestling once or twice on TV. But for me, I grew up as a hardcore wrestling fan, so it meant a lot to me. He passed away, but I didn't like cry about it. I was upset about it, but I didn't know the guy. I didn't know him on a personal level, but he was something that meant a lot to me as a wrestling fan, as he did all other fans of wrestling that are out there that have taken the time and taken the effort into watching all of this and liking everything that the WWE has put out throughout their history and shit. And he's just one of those bigger than life stars that it only comes once in a lifetime, because he kind of built the foundation of wrestling. So for him to pass, that's like a low blow. Hell, when Bray Wyatt passed away, that was a low blow because I was a fan of his work too. But Hulk Hogan, that's a really big deal, we hear about these wrestlers passing away, but when somebody as big as Hulk Hogan, who helped start it, he helped jump shoot the company and made it to what it is today, passes away, it's really sad. So, but I will get into that, and we will talk about, Ozzy Osbourne. That's a person who we both come to like, both in music-wise, both in interest, both in, because we're both metal fans, But, but there's something else I wanted to talk about. Even knowing that's in the thumbnail, that, what I have mentioned as the title. I want to discuss other things before I dive into talking about them. So, I was talking to her, when she just left like a few minutes ago, and she went to work, and I was telling her, about how I want to get cable, because I'm kind of tired of watching TV at home, because there's really just nothing, and so, like, it sucks not having cable. I feel like I'm living in like the fucking bronze medieval times age where it's just like everything's a rerun, you know? Like a person who hasn't stepped out in the world and seen what's all going on in the news. And I like to know what's going on out in this world, you know, that we live in, you know, a lot of people don't, in particularly get into politics, but I do, and you do as well. So, we both want to know what's up, That's just so we can get a full glimpse of everything that's taking place as of right now, as of this year. So, yeah, I mean, the cable is only like $34, 35 the basic cable, and I know it doesn't come with a lot of channels, but if it comes with Fox Network, I'm all set. Like, as long as I get to watch Fox News and maybe watch a little bit of football, I think basic cable has NFL. I don't know if they have NFL or not, but if they do, that's sweet. That's tits. If I get to watch, the Bengals play, that'd be fun. Or if I get to watch, I don't know if they air UFC pay-per-views, but if you get to watch them like UFC or boxing or something, that would be great. As I've stated before, I'm no longer associated with wrestling. I no longer watch wrestling. I gave up on wrestling like fucking last year. The shit product has just gotten so fucking stale, and they just keep repeating the same fucking storylines over and over again. The shit just has no good quality to it anymore. And the only reason, I'm going to talk about Hulk Hogan on this live stream is because, well, he was kind of the GOAT of wrestling, and he was around during a time when wrestling was, before it was mainstream. Before it was mainstream, and before it was overrated, and before it was all fucking stale like it is now. Back in the good days, like the golden era of wrestling was, a lot better than today's moral standards of where we are now. Because just wrestling is just a really shit bland product. It's fucking wrestling sucks. Hell, it sucked when I was young, when we were young. It was even stale back then, but I'm saying, like, if you go back and you look at the 80s and you look at the 90s and you look at all the old matches and the old wrestlers that they used to have back in the day, wrestling was a hell of a lot better product back then than where it is now. It's just, now it's like a fucking sinking ship ready to go down like the Titanic. Yeah, that'll be really cool to watch some sports. Football would be the only thing I would really watch. Even with the modern boxing, I don't know any of these new boxers, but I do watch like the older box. Like I remember, I remember when I was, I'm not trying to bring this up, but sorry to bring this up, but when I was locked up, I remember they were airing the Joe Frazier versus Ali fight. So, I saw that on TV. I'm like, why the hell are they airing this? This is like from the 70s. But yeah, I thought, fuck it, it's cool watching an old pay-per-view like that, Some of those old boxing matches are some of the best. Just like some of the old wrestling matches are some of the best ever fucking made, But, I have to, if I'm going to watch something, like, if I'm going to watch a sport, I have to actually know the person that's actually, participating in it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the Bengals end up, switching, going and getting a different quarterback and getting rid of, what's his name, that Joe Burrow, I don't know if I'll watch it or not. I don't know if I'll actually get into football. If they get rid of Joe Burrow, I don't know if I'm going to watch football. I think football season already started up, if I'm not mistaken, but I haven't really kept up with it. I know the Bucs had to go to the Super Bowl, sadly, but we did back in 2022 against the Rams. And then before that, in 1981, we went up against the San Francisco Chargers, and we beat them in Cincinnati. I know it's kind of crazy. We're from Arkansas and everything, but I don't watch college football. To me, college football is fucking lame. I've always watched NFL. I've always watched pro football because really pro football is where it's at. College football just sucks. It's lame. A lot of the people that are associated with college football are just a bunch of fucking amateurs. The pros are a lot better. They play better. They're more stiffer. You know, more stiff and shit. You know, like fucking... They get tackled, they get back up. Like, how many of those college football dorks get, you know, tackled and then they're out with an injury and shit, you know what I'm saying? I just don't like college football. I don't give a shit about the Razorbacks. I don't give a shit about Oklahoma. I don't give a shit about none of that. Like, NFL is all I know. When it comes to football, NFL is literally all I know. You know? All those teams, Seattle Seahawks, Dallas Cowboys, the Falcons, you know, but my favorite team has always been the truth. You know, I was following them back in 2016, and then 2016 was the last year I actually watched football. Then come 2023, I got back into football. So you know, when they fought the Jacksonville Jaguars, that was the first time I was introduced to Joe Burrow and the main quarterback that they had at the time. First time I was actually introduced to those quarterbacks, you know, because I fucking quit watching football a decade ago, and it's funny. It's not even 2 years ago I got back into it. So you know, and I was into it last year, but you know, so much has been going on. You know, because of my personal life and a lot of the bad, tragic events that have taken place in it, I haven't really got to keep up with all of it. But, you know, the last game I did watch last year going into 2025, the last game I remember watching was that game that we both watched, which was the Bengals versus Baltimore. We beat Pittsburgh and we beat Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember you've been telling me about Cincinnati. Really got me. Yeah, I know. We were watching some old football from like the 2000s, man. 2001. You're born in 1999, and we wanted to go back and watch some old football. We wanted to watch the old, and we wanted to watch the new. And I remember we were watching Keely Smith, you know, the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals back in 2000. We were watching that on YouTube, and they destroyed the Broncos. I remember they beat the Broncos, man, which is your ex-boyfriend's favorite team. Fucking hate the Broncos, man. You know the YouTuber Heggy Rants that we talk about, who, you know, that's his favorite team. His favorite team is the Denver Broncos. I don't like the Broncos. You know, I remember when Pant Manny, I think that's his name, you know, he was part of, you know, he was the quarterback for the team. I remember he used to be in those Pizza Hut. No, not Pizza Hut, sorry. Papa John's ads. He was in those Papa John's ads, yeah. With the fucking old, not mascot, but the CEO of Papa John's, who, you know, later turned out to be a fucking racist and shit because he said the N-word and crap. That's fucking stupid. I mean, honestly, you're running a business and you're going to make a racial remark about your employees. That's fucked up. That shit can't be tolerated. And you know what's funny? People used to call me a racist, and I'm not a fucking racist, you know? I might have said that word before. I might have said the N-word before, but I never meant it as in, you know, like I never used the R. I try not to put the R on the end of it, but you know what I'm saying? It's just not a word I like. It's a word I don't like saying, and it's a word I don't like using. But when fucking idiots, you know, call you racist, it's like, you know, you know what a racist looks like. You know what a racist sounds like. And if anything, because I'm white and I'm from the South and shit, it's that typical stereotype of, oh, he's from the South, you know, he's got to be a racist. It's like, no, I'm not a fucking racist, man. If I was a fucking racist, you know, I don't think I would have had that many black friends I had growing up. I mean, one of our closest friends is black, and she's a girl, you know, who we just talked to not too long ago. So, you know, I don't think we're racist, you know. I think people who say others are racist are actually the ones that are racist. That's the way I look at it. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you got a stupid white, and I'm white, but when you got a white idiot cracker fuck who's going around saying, oh, this person's racist, and they're talking about someone who is white and they're saying that they're racist, how do you know if that person's actually racist or not? I mean, how can you tell unless they say something racist, unless they make a racist gesture? If they're not making any racial comment about a person, how do you actually know if they're fucking racist or not? I mean, you'd have to see them interact with a person of color. I mean, in order to know if someone's racist, you'd have to see them be racist. But if you're just right off the bat assuming that they are because you don't like that person, you're a fucking retard. Yeah, they need to quit assuming people are racist. The only racists are those fuckers with the skinheads and those swastika tattoos. Like the fuckers I went to jail with, that I was in jail with, man. They're the most craziest, insane fucks ever. I remember this one dude, he asked me, that one guy I told you about who had all those Nazi tattoos, a fucker came up to me and he asked me, he's like, hey man, I'm going to have to trade, can I have your spot because I can't be in here. He said he made a vow or something, and I didn't want to argue with the guy, because he was about the same age as me. I wasn't afraid of him, but, I went ahead and just said, yeah, sure, man. I'll go take that cell. You can have this cell. If you don't want to be in the same cell with a person who's black, okay, whatever. But it's fucking stupid. Like, thinking back, I wish I would have just said, why do you want me to move all my stuff out of my cell because of someone with, someone that happens to be a different color than you? You don't want to share the same cell with them. He's in fear of getting caught with someone who is black and then being snitched on or some shit. Like, dude, fucking grow up, If you're going to have to stay in the same room with someone who is black, learn to fucking deal with it. Like, learn to actually deal with that shit. Because a person that's black, who's just sharing the same cell as you, isn't going to do anything unless they have, unless they have the intentions to do something, unless, they say something that makes you feel a little, queasy, make you feel a little, something like off-putting about that person. It's like, oh, I don't know, that person might stab me or some shit while I'm sleeping. It's retarded. It's like, if he ain't saying nothing to you, then why talk about taking a vow and all this? Like, oh, I made a vow to all these white skinhead fucking Nazis that I wouldn't share a same cell as a person who is black, but I'll only stay in a cell with people who are white. That's so fucking retarded. I don't mind fucking sleeping in the same fucking cell as fucking 10 black dudes. Long as they don't do no faggot shit and touch me, I'm good. I'm cool. I mean, they mind their own business. They're doing their own thing. Why? You know what I'm saying? It's fucking dumb, dude. That's racist shit right there. You want to talk about racist? That's the kind of racist shit right there. You know what I'm saying? But I try to block all that out of my mind. I try to forget about all that. But when he went up to me and he's like, hey, dude. Can you leave your cell? We'll trade cells because I can't be in this cell with this guy. And I'm thinking, why can't you be in the same cell as this guy? And he goes, well, I took a vow. I'm like, took a vow of what? Not fucking standing in the same room with someone who's a different color than you? What kind of fucking... He's a human being. Like, dude's a fucking human being and you're just being a piece of shit racist fuck. Fucking idiots. And what gets me, what gets me about all these Nazi supreme white fucking, these white supremacist fucks, they're so anti-American. Like, they support Hitler, they got, the swastikas and everything, and I just don't get it. I mean, how can you say you're a patriot, you love this country, but then you're that shit? You know what I'm saying? When they were the people killing innocent people in concentration camps, and then they were the ones causing this war and mayhem and destruction, and they were trying to take over the world, and it's just like, I don't see how a can support all that Nazi shit. I mean, it is part of history. I get it. It is a part of history, you know. I do think the German soldiers had pretty cool uniforms, and they did have pretty cool guns, you know, for that era. But if you would have asked me, like, which side would I fight for, I would honestly fight for the United States, not Nazi Germany. I would like to steal Nazi Germany's guns and use it against them. Like, I'd like to take the German submachine gun and I'd like to take that and use it on them. But other than that, I wouldn't join a side of all these tyrant fucking fascist fucking communist level genociding fucking mayhem lunatics. So obviously, fight for the United States, but the only thing is, I would request not to use an American gun, because I'm going to be honest with you, the American guns suck. Like the M1 Carpenter. Give me a German submachine gun. Give me a German Luger. I would take the German. One of those motherfuckers, like in Call of Duty, like when I played Call of Duty, you know, and I played like World at War. And I remember, like, I would shoot the enemies. I would steal the enemies' guns, because the enemies have better guns than, like, your own team. Sad to say that, like, even if you're, like, you know, you're fighting in, like, say, in Afghanistan or somewhere in the game, and you shoot like a fucking like a Muslim or something, and you steal their gun, and like they have an AK-47 or you know what I'm saying? Like, an AK-47 is better than an M16. The M16 guns suck. Like, the American guns suck. You know? The American guns suck ass. The only good gun that they had in World War II were the fucking Tommy guns. The Tommy guns were the only good guns that Americans had. But personally, I'd say the Germans had better weapons. The Germans were just more high-tech than we were. Hell, you know what I'm saying? They had better weapons, and their like all the manufacturing, over there was just better built. The tanks were better built, the guns were better built, like everything. And plus, they had those grenades that, unlike our grenades, you know, our grenades look like a fucking pineapple with a little pin needle that you pull out and then throw. Their grenades were like stick grenades. I'm like, yeah, stick grenades, where it looks like a stick. Like, to me, that right there is, like, for that time period, that's really creative, you know, to take a stick, for the Germans to create a weapon that, like, such as a stick grenade. That's more advanced than what we had, and their guns shot better than our guns. Like, our guns were just crappy, you know. That's why every time I play a Call of Duty game, I'm always taking, like, if I shoot an enemy, and I say I'm on a map, and there's an enemy nearby, or like I'm approaching like where like the enemy's at, like if it's like on a base or somewhere, and I shoot the enemy and I take the enemy's gun, like, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, because they're just their guns shooter. I remember you were talking about World War II, and you were telling me the Germans have better... Yes, they do. The Germans had better weapons. Yes. Yes, they did. They had better weapons than we did. Honestly, the side that you would want to be on is, you know, you would want to fight for America, because America was fighting for freedom, for equality, and to end all this persecution and genocide that the fucking Germans were doing. What the Germans were doing was just awful. What Germany did was just fucking awful. That's why I said I don't understand why there's so many skinhead white nationalists that go out and they these swastikas and shit, and they're fucking, they say they're an American, but I'm like, you can't be an American if you support Hitler. Hitler hated America, so I don't see how you can be... And I'm not trying to sound like a fucking Democrat. I'm a Republican. Obviously, I'm a Republican, so I'm all for the Constitution. I'm all for freedom, you know. And don't even get me started on the Democrats. Democrats are idiots. All the liberals are idiots. Weirdos in dresses who, you know, want to identify as the opposite sex, and they want to start all these fucking, you know, race wars and shit, and they're the ones that, you know... assassinated Abraham Lincoln, and they're the ones that started slavery. You know, I fucking hate the Democrats, you know. And even if you don't like Donald Trump, that's fine. But I'm a Republican. Like, regardless, I'm a Republican. And I'll be a Republican in 2028 as well. I'll be a fucking Republican in 2028. You know, when Trump leaves office, I'll still be a Republican. I'm a Republican now. I'm a Trump supporter now. But I'm saying when Trump leaves, I'm going to be on the right. Fuck the left. And all their convoluting bullshit, fucking lies, and all the things they do. Like, yeah, don't even get me started on that. I mean, you know, I don't respect the Democrats. I don't respect the left. I don't respect anything they do. They all want genocide. They all fucking want to kill fucking babies from in their mother's womb, stomach. I don't support that shit, man. I'm pro-life. I'm all for a baby getting to live and getting to, you know, yeah. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. I got off topic, sorry. But what I'm getting at is, yeah, the Germans had better guns, they were just better equipped with everything. Like, if we would have had German weapons, we would have ended the war. Like, we would have ended the war quicker, honestly. Like, if we had their weapons, we would like, you know, destroy them. Honestly. It's kind of weird how we won, like, the war. Like, it's just weird how the Allies won the war and the Axis lost, because it's funny because, yeah, we might have had a bigger army than they did, but I mean, Nazi Germany did have a big army, but you know, the downside of them losing the war was because Hitler was such a fucking control freak, and he wanted everything done the way he wanted it. And if he would have just listened to his generals, if he would have just let his generals do what they wanted to do, they could have won. Like, Nazi Germany could have won the war. But, you know, I digress. You know, it is what it is, you know. I'm glad that we won, because if we didn't win, God knows where we would be at today, you know. But I'm just saying, if I could go back in time, and if you asked me which side I would pick, I would honestly pick the Allies side over the Axis, because I just can't fight for something that is all about power and world domination and you know, destroying people's homes and killing innocent children. I can't, you know, I can't cope with that. The best thing I would do is kill a German soldier, take their fucking weapon, and use it on them. Like, I would take their General Luger, I would take their German submachine gun, I would strap that shit on me. And then if, like, all the other, like, everybody else, like, that's on the same side as me goes, why are you stealing the enemy's guns? I'd be like, because their guns are better than ours. But yeah. Hey, I'm gonna go take a shit. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. So, I was going to also say this, another group of soldiers in the World War II era that had good weapons besides Germany was Japan. Japan was probably more head of a step than Germany and the U.S., and I'm going to tell you why. It's because they had guns. Japan had guns that if they were jumping out of, say, like a parachute, like in the fucking, like up in the air, they were like jumping out of a plane and shit, you know, ready to land on the battlefield. They had these guns that were already like equipped, that where they could take their guns, right? The Japanese, they could take their guns and they could take like a rifle apart, you know, like they could dismember the gun, and then when they land on the battlefield, they reassembled their gun. It was really cool. Like, I forgot the name of the gun. It was like a Japanese rifle that the Japanese used in World War II. They could just you know, disassembled it and then like put it back together, reassemble it. It was a really cool gun. It was a really cool. Like, I'm surprised we didn't have guns like Japan. I'm surprised we didn't have guns like the Germans did. Like I said, the only good gun we had in World War II was the Tommy gun. The Tommy gun was the only good gun we had in that era. After World War II, we went on to make very crappy guns. I mean, we didn't really, like, after World War II, like, the guns that we started to get into and started to use later came in the 60s when the Vietnam War happened, and we went and we acquired these new weapons called the M16s, and the M16s were really not good guns, and they were supposed to replace the previous guns that we used before in World War II and the Korean War. So the M16 were supposed to take the place of the guns that we used for both of the other two wars I just mentioned, and I really never liked the M16 because those guns were really shitty. Like even in the games, like when you use an M16, like in one of these games, like any first person, third person shooter games, like I don't like the M16 simply for the fact and reason that it just isn't really a good effective gun. The best gun was the gun that the Vietnamese had, which were the fucking AK-47s. It's funny how America makes some of the most cheapest, most crappiest assembled guns ever, and then gives to our soldiers, or like our men and women in the armed forces, and like they have to use these really cheap ass, you know, made together guns that are not really effective towards, like, you know, like the M16 just, its biggest flaw was that it jammed so fucking much, and that's one of the reasons we lost the Vietnam War, was because the Vietnamese were one step ahead of us, because, you know, they were used to the jungle, because a lot of these Vietnamese people were born and raised in those woods, and they had these little trap doors and these little crawl spaces and holes, so they were one step ahead of us than we were, because we were going into a jungle that we've never stepped foot in before, and we were unaware of our surroundings and all that, and so that's why we lost that war. And plus, I mean, be honest, the Vietnam War was the most pointless war ever, done by a Democratic fucking bullshit president, that being of Lyndon B. Johnson. And I just honestly think if Kennedy didn't get assassinated, I honestly think we would have never had to, no American would have ever had to be drafted over there to Vietnam. You know, because the Vietnam War was just very, very pointless war. The Vietnam War had nothing to do with America or its involvement. And still to this day, it's one of the most pointless wars that we've ever faced, because all it did was get a lot of men and women shot and killed. And it's like Lyndon B. Johnson, he didn't care. He didn't give a shit. He was, I guess to him, he was doing it more for his ego. He was doing it not for the country's sake, but more for, you know, hey, if we try to, you know, go over there and help these guys, we can, you know, try to look like we're, the best country in the world by, getting involved in something that doesn't even involve our help. And, yeah, that's why I say Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was a better president than Lyndon B. Johnson, because Richard Nixon cleaned up all the Vietnam crap, and he took away that draft thing where, no longer does a soldier have to be drafted to war, I think Lyndon B. Johnson, not Lyndon B. Johnson, but Richard Nixon. I think Richard Nixon was a good president. Regardless of the Watergate scandal, I think Richard Nixon was a good president. He was a Republican. I mean, he was a good president. He used to be a prosecutor for the Supreme Court. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know you forgot what it was. Yeah, I know. But basically, yeah, throughout history, we've had, wars that, did involve us. Like, if you look at World War II and you look at Vietnam, World War II was a war that needed America's involvement because the Japanese attacked us on Pearl Harbor. We weren't getting involved with all the Hitler shit until the Japanese attacked us. You know what I'm saying?